Welcome back, everybody. This is Mark from FM Jeeping, bringing you the door removal mod on the Jeep Cherokee XJ. Hey everyone, this is going to be a slightly different video. I have tried to remake this video at least 4 times in the current state it was when I filmed, but I missed a bunch of things. I had bad lighting, bad audio, interruptions. I was getting hung up on stuck bolts, broken bolts, all types of things like that. I will be completely transparent. I was very defeated doing this mod. You know, I kind of hit a low point doing it. And then I'm kind of ashamed to say that because, you know, I've done bigger things and had probably far worse outcomes. Maybe it was the timing, I don't know. But really, I didn't enjoy this mod. I do enjoy driving around without doors on, by all means, but it kind of just, it seems like it opened up a Pandora's box. Take that as you will. You know, your results may vary on whether or not you do this. I can tell you that, you know, clean XJs, you know, possibly from the south, that don't see salt or winters, you know, snow, salt, rain, things like that, will most likely have a much easier time than I did. I fought for days on broken bolts. I went through numerous tools, numerous different ways to try to get those bolts out. And it left me defeated. And then when the doors don't perfectly line up at the end of the mod, I wasn't having a good time. Now, I did go back, I cleaned up a bunch of things. You know, I got to the point where it's acceptable, but just kind of keep that in mind. So, with that being said, let's get into the video and just kind of quick touch on points of things you need to do to get where I got into, and maybe some hiccups that you might see along the way. Alright, to move the front doors, you're going to want to go ahead, remove a couple of these screws from the door sill. I only have one holding it in, and then it looks like there's usually a bolt or a nut that goes down here. I don't have that, so just be aware. I think it's like a 10 millimeter or something like that. I'm going to go ahead, follow the door wires where they come through. Connects to these 3 connections. So we're going to go ahead and disconnect those now. That's one side of it. There's 2 grommets. There's this one on this side and one on the other side. So I'm going to probably do the same thing, but instead I'm going to push. There we go. One at a time should do it. Okay, there's one. There's 2 and 3. All through. Next you're going to want to do is find a way to get this pin out. Whoops. A lot of times you can just hammer it from the bottom and it'll come right out. I'm going to save this even though it feels like my door check is toast. I still like having it. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep that. So now what I'm going to do is mark these. Mark all this stuff. Where it came out of or where it's located. And then that way I can put it back exactly the way I want. Try that. Try this. Okay. Good. Alright, so I went and got a T40 Torx. I'm going to go ahead and back all these out. Oops, I need 2 hands. Alright, so my little rig did not work so well. So I went and got a 1/4 inch wrench and my bit. And we're going to give this a shot. Still doesn't want to go. Wow, that's in there good. Wow. That's on there, man. Okay, so this seemed to work. I have a T40 half-inch bit, and I used a 5/16 ratchet wrench. Seems to be doing the job. It just gives me that little bit more torque, and actually the fitting on the end of this thing gives me something to push against. There we go. All right. Oh yeah, that's the way to go. Let's see what we can do down here now. Let's get a little higher because there's wires in the way. I don't like it when they screech. So what you're going to want to do is remove a couple screws on your sill trim here, and then remove the kick panel. This one, mine, is held in really with nothing more than a little bit of friction and an 11mm bolt right here by the fuse panel. Once you do that, you're going to go and follow this wire here and unplug it all. So let's see if I can do it. Sorry for the noise, my neighbors just decided they wanted to start mowing their lawn. Okay, there's one, and oh, I think I got that one too. There's two, and then there's one more right here. Oops, sorry for the crooked. Okay, come on. Okay, there we go. Oh, and there's one more right here. So there's 4 on the passenger side, 3 on the driver's side in the front. And this little wire here that's coming out, this is something I added because my speakers do not work through the factory harness. So I'm just going to go ahead, clip this, and maybe do a quick disconnect. So yeah, that's what I'll do. Alright, so now that you got these connections all taken care of, just make sure there's nothing hanging out. And just as a reminder, there's 2 on the fuse panel, 1 above the fuse panel, and 1 immediately to the side of the fuse panel there. So there should be 4 connections total. I have 5 because I ran an extra wire to my speaker because the factory stuff just wasn't working. This will give me a chance to kind of see what's going on with that because I'm kind of going through the wiring now. So what I like to do is get one of these interior trim hooks just like that, and kind of force these free. And you want to pull these wires through. Sometimes they don't always want to go through, so you kind of almost have to do them one at a time. Seems to work a little bit better that way. 1, 2, 3, where's number 4? 4 is right there. Oh, I ripped out one of my... There we go. Next thing you would want to do is undo your door check. Mine, the pin fell out a long time ago, so this is kind of a moot point, but basically what it is that it's a pinch pin or a roll pin that goes down. It literally intersects, maybe I'll show you back here. It looks exactly like this. You hit it from the top, from the bottom with a little hammer and a small punch, and it pops right up. That way you have nice free reign of the door. So really now the only thing holding my door on, or the only thing connected to my door, are the hinges. So we're going to grab a T40 Torx bit and take these off. And a slight disclaimer, I've already been through 5 Torx bits on the driver's side. So have a couple extra Torx bits, make sure they're warranted for life. I've also had to weld a couple nuts onto the top of these bolts to get them out. And in fact, if I run into anything that sticks, I'm going to probably do that going forward, because if I do snap them, I snap them. But at least I'm not ruining tools and have to go return them every half an hour. Okay, so before I get too far ahead of myself, what you should do, just so everything goes back the way it came off, is trace everything. I've been tracing on the door how it goes and just leaving very distinguishing marks. Some people label everything, and I can do that too. Bottom, top. There we go. So now I should have a better idea on where they go. So the goal is to try to get these Torx bits off without breaking them. If you live in the southern states, this is probably not as big of an issue. Yep, that one is not going to want to go. I have a feeling I'm going to lose these. Yep. That's not good. That's not good. So the other thing that you're going to have to realize is when you have the doors off, it's not going to trigger the door switch to shut off the light. So I took a 9/16. Seems to be pretty good. Okay. It's going to come out and look like this. You just separate that, just like that. And now, light is off. In the back, it's the same as the front. There's a couple bolts here. You want to take this piece out. Mine's a little broken, but basically what you're going to want to do is pull the pin, pull this boot, just like that, and try to locate. Might be, yep. It looks like it's buckled down, but basically if you look right in there, there's that one connection. That's the one you want to undo. So, okay, so I popped it loose, and what you're going to want to do is try to get it on the bottom. There's more slack there. There is another set of wires that go through this harness that leaves you with very little slack. So I just pulled it down here. Down here you have a little bit more room to work. You can compress this clip, and if you need to, you can pry this off. Alright, I was able to roll a little bit further out. Now, just work this free. That's it. Now, the next task is getting these darn bolts out. So one thing I've run into, the bottom seemed to be pretty seized up. The top, not so bad, but the bottom, I've broken these so often. I've had to weld nuts to the top, get them out that way. I've had to grind these things down and literally grind it to the point where it's nothing more than the stud and not the head. So your mileage may vary. Alright, so sorry for the wind noise, but like I said, having trouble getting these damn bolts out of here. Broke one, had to weld a nut to another one, and they're not in the greatest places either, so you know, you just got to do what you can. So once you get your door off, you're left with something that looks like this. Now this pin is all the way through. There's a plastic piece here. What I had to do is I took a carbide bit or a grinder, and there's a thin part of the pin. There's a thicker part and then a very thin part. I lightly ground it in and I pressed up to get the pins up. It seems like the driver's side, that thinner part was on the top, and on the passenger side it was on the bottom. So once you grind that down, I used an air chisel to push these up. It was a bit of a fight, so be prepared for that. But once you get them, you're going to want to pull this off. There'll be a plastic piece here, pull that out, and then there's brass bushings on top and the bottom of the body side hinge. Go ahead and pull those off. Now you're left with this hinge. So what I do is I press this out. Go ahead, tighten this down nice and tight. Keep the hinge in the vise. Get yourself a 3/8 sit. So I wanted to try to use these pins, and they work. I think these would be a great permanent solution. When I say permanent, it makes it so you can still remove them, but if you're going to go through the winter, these are good because they have a head. You just have to grind them down and hammer them to home, and they work pretty well. And these are 2 3/4 inch lock pins. I'm not going to use those. I'm going to use this pin here. This is a 3-inch long, 3/8 diameter ball detent pin. Reason being is once you get it going, of course it doesn't want to go really well, that ball detent will keep it from kind of popping out just willy-nilly, and they're quick to disconnect. Not to mention, they have a low profile head, so you don't have to worry about grinding it out. Our freshly drilled hinges back in. You can see where I had trouble getting the bolts out, which is why we're going to be replacing them with some M8 by 125 thread, and I went and grabbed, I believe, like 2-inch bolts to replace these, because they come from the factory with these Torx bits, which I did nothing but snap Torx bits. Let's do that again. There's one. There's 2. And if you want to go ahead and get all your door and locks back in play, go ahead and plug all these back in. Okay. So, you gotta push the pins in a little bit more, but for the most part, works pretty well. Door closes, it opens, Now it's not 100% lined up. Now if that's going to be a deal breaker for you, you might want to kind of steer clear of this mod. But if you're going to enjoy driving the Jeep without the doors on, it is a little addicting. I can probably deal with the doors not being 100% lined up, and to be honest, a little bit of adjustment can go a long way. However, I think I'm going to probably just leave it as is. So here's the rear door. This is with my old pins. I haven't replaced them with the new pins yet. These worked pretty well. I mean, these definitely feel more permanent. Like, so if you're going to only take your doors off once a season, not a bad solution. But this, you know, it actually closes pretty good. Don't mind this. This is because I caved my quarter panel in and I had to pull it back out. But yeah, so that's really it. I mean, I just want to say that this type of mod, if you're going for like a show vehicle and you want everything to be perfect, this is probably not the mod to do. If this is something where you want to enjoy the Jeep, enjoy the fresh air, you don't really care so much about the doors lining up afterward, you kind of want that freedom that the Jeep offers, go for it. You know, it'll get you some looks. The legality of it is a little bit questionable. It all depends on your state and town or city, whatever. So just be careful about that. I do know that you're supposed to be running mirrors if you are running doorless on just about any vehicle, not just Wranglers and Cherokees. So consider that. I haven't done that yet, but I'm looking into something I could probably just drop right in the hinges to serve as a mirror. But this is the configuration I'm running right now until I put that other door on. I got the 2 doors in the back on just for the kids, and then the 2 doors in the front off just for me. But I like it. I do. If you have any questions or comments about this mod, about the video, go ahead and leave those down below. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one.